Hi guys, this is Max here, back again with hopefully another great political video, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the guy whom we see in the picture here right now. And, as you can, it is almost impossible to miss, he looks quite sad on this picture, and he's got lots of reasons to be sad right now. His approval went down 1% to just 38%. He's not too far away from where Donald Trump was. And the polls are presumably biased in Joe Biden's favor. So he's even more unpopular than the polls show him to be. Now, the thing is, why is that happening? Well, it's very simple. He's just not having a good time right now. His infrastructure proposal isn't going through. We got a fuel crisis, a supply chain crisis, and a inflation crisis, even though that is going to get a lot worse in the future, so I'd rather call it a proto crisis. And of course, then there's Afghanistan, which was a major foreign policy blunder. Now, all of those things are dragging Joe Biden's popularity down. But now, what is it that he could hypothetically do in order to get his approval rating up again? Well, he'd have to do one thing. He'd have to show leadership. He'd have to get out of his little basement and finally start doing some stuff. He can no longer run the government like he ran his presidential campaign, not being Trump and never actually doing anything. No, he has to get out there and get stuff done. What he'd have to do is he'd have to make actual suggestions about real policy changes. How can we get down inflation? How can we get the supply chain crisis going again? But he's not doing any of it. He doesn't address any of the issues of the day. He only talks about his infrastructure bill when he ever talks about anything. He doesn't even talk about his infrastructure bill all that much, but the only thing he talks about is his infrastructure bill. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need to improve infrastructure, but if you have a inflation crisis, then it might not be the best point in time to consider vast amounts of new government spending. Now, obviously, if you are in a different time where the economy is going good and you want this wealth to trickle down to the poorer population, then there you go. That's a good time where you could increase welfare benefits and raise the minimum wage, which actually wouldn't hurt the economy all that much. So he could also do that right now. But the main thing is, first and foremost, you got to get rid of inflation, because inflation hurts wage workers and eventually everybody. It's not just an issue for the top 1%. It's an issue for everyone, and we all need to be concerned about it. Now, what was probably also bad optics for his administration was that his transportation secretary went on paid family leave for 3 months. For 3 months while we were having the supply chain crisis. But that's more like an issue for Mayor Pete. If there's anybody who's really enthused about him, they'd be pretty disappointed by him right now. But anyway, the main thing is, the advice that I could give to Joe Biden: if you want to have any chance to get your legacy through, if you want your infrastructure bill or any of your proposals to succeed in the future, get this crisis solved. People want to see true leadership and not somebody who throws in a comment at things every now and then. People want to see action, and he's not providing it. He's old, and he's not addressing the things that need to be addressed. So if you change that, he'd be great. But as of right now, it's just not looking good for Joe Biden. And don't even get me started about Kamala Harris. She's so unpopular she wouldn't win a single election. But for Joe Biden, it's not all hopes over. He could go down as a very successful president if he goes out there, holds press briefings, and makes proposals on how to lower inflation, get the economy, get the supply chains back to America that had been outsourced, and if he then, when the economy has gone up again, makes proposals for real redistribution of some wealth to the poor working class population, he'd be very popular. But he's not doing it. And I have a hard time believing that he'll do anything until his term ends, if he'll even make it throughout his entire term. So yeah, if you're a Democrat, it's not looking good for you. I'm very sorry. And even though the Republicans might not have the best proposals to get rid of inflation either, as long as they're just breathing, they can say, we're not Biden, and Biden's not doing a good job, and they'll win. Now, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. My name is Max. Likes, comments, and subscriptions are greatly appreciated. And I hope you guys will have a fabulous day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.